Hip hop has never seen a beef quite like this. Two hip hop titans going head to head.
A long-standing feud between rap artist Drake and Kendrick Lamar is once again heating up after the release of diss tracks.
Rap legends Drake and Kendrick Lamar locked in this feud, a feud for the ages.
Days after Kendrick fired up his beef with Drake during his Super Bowl halftime show.
Did Kendrick Lamar just take a direct shot at Drake on the biggest stage in the world? The Super Bowl halftime show was supposed to be a spectacle of music and entertainment, but fans were left stunned when Kendrick Lamar seemingly took aim at Drake with a cryptic yet cutting remark. Social media instantly erupted, with theories flying about whether this was a calculated diss or just another case of fans reading too much into things. But the real twist? The entire stadium joined in on a mysterious chant, one that left viewers at home buzzing with speculation. Was Kendrick sending a message? Or was this just another internet-fueled conspiracy? One thing is certain, this moment ignited a firestorm, and everyone is waiting to see how Drake will respond. Section 1. The long-standing rivalry. Drake and Kendrick Lamar, two of the biggest names in modern hip-hop. On the surface, they've always shown mutual respect. But beneath it all, there's been an undeniable undercurrent of competition. It wasn't always like this. In the early 2010s, Drake co-signed Kendrick as one of the future greats, even featuring him on Take Care. But as both artists rose to superstardom, the energy shifted. The respect remained, but so did the subtle jabs. Kendrick's verse on Control sent shockwaves through the industry when he called out nearly every major rapper, including Drake, declaring himself the best in the game. While Drake brushed it off publicly, insiders claimed he wasn't too happy about it. Since then, the two have existed in a strange space, acknowledging each other, but never too closely. Fans have pointed out subliminal shots in their lyrics over the years, but nothing ever escalated into a full-blown beef. That's what makes the Super Bowl moment so intriguing. If Kendrick really just dissed Drake, on a stage as massive as the Super Bowl halftime show, this wouldn't just be another rap feud. This would be a declaration of war in front of millions. But was it really a diss? Or are fans just looking for drama? The answer isn't so simple. Section 2. The alleged Super Bowl diss. The moment that sent social media into a frenzy happened fast. But for those paying attention, it was impossible to ignore. As Kendrick Lamar performed his set, fans noticed a particular line that seemed different. A subtle change in lyrics, a knowing look to the camera, or even the way he emphasized certain words. It was enough to make people question whether this was just another performance or something much bigger. But the real bombshell? The entire stadium erupted into a chant that left fans at home in shock. The phrase was cryptic, unexpected, and eerily fitting given the long-rumored tension between Kendrick and Drake. Within minutes, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube were flooded with theories. Some claimed Kendrick had just called out Drake in the boldest way possible, on live television with millions watching. Others argued it was all a misunderstanding, blown out of proportion by overzealous fans. But here's where things get even more interesting. Kendrick said nothing to clarify the situation. No post-show statements, no explanations, just silence. And that silence? It only made the speculation grow louder. Now, all eyes were on Drake. Would he ignore it? Or was a response brewing behind the scenes? Section 3. Drake's silent reaction fuels speculation. The moment the Super Bowl halftime show ended, social media exploded. Fans dissected every second of Kendrick's performance, debating whether it was a subtle jab or just overhyped speculation. But as the internet went wild, one person remained completely silent: Drake. And that silence spoke volumes. Normally, when Drake's name gets thrown into drama, he's quick to respond, whether it's through social media, a sly Instagram post, or even a verse in his next song. But this time, nothing. No cryptic captions, no emoji-filled responses, no indirect shots. At first, fans assumed he was just brushing it off. After all, Drake has been in the game long enough to know that not every rumor is worth addressing. But as hours turned into days, the lack of response only fueled the speculation. Was he genuinely unbothered? Was he strategizing his next move? Or was he caught off guard by Kendrick's unexpected power play? Insiders started whispering that Drake wasn't happy behind the scenes. According to industry sources, he had definitely caught wind of the moment and was debating whether to respond publicly or let the drama fizzle out. But when Drake's inner circle stayed just as quiet, it only made fans more convinced that something was brewing. And then, just when people started thinking he might let it slide, Drake finally broke his silence. But his response? It wasn't what anyone expected. Section 4. Drake finally speaks. But does he confirm or deny? After days of deafening silence, Drake finally broke his silence. But in true Drake fashion, his response wasn't straightforward. Instead of dropping a diss track or firing back with a direct statement, he went live on social media. Fans flooded the chat, waiting for him to address the elephant in the room. And when someone finally asked about Kendrick's alleged diss, there was a noticeable pause. For a split second, Drake just stared at the screen. Then he smirked. "Man, y'all love a good story, huh?" he finally said, laughing it off. He didn't confirm it. He didn't deny it. He simply acknowledged the rumors, without giving fans the reaction they were hoping for. But the way he handled it said more than his words ever could. He reminisced about his early respect for Kendrick, calling him one of the greats. He brushed off the idea of a rivalry, saying people love to overanalyze everything in hip-hop. But then he got a little more serious, hinting at his frustration with the way people twist narratives. "Look, if somebody got something to say to me, I'm right here. I don't do subliminals." That statement alone sent fans into a frenzy. Was he suggesting Kendrick did take a shot at him, but in a cowardly way? Or was he just making a general statement about hip-hop beef? Either way, his calm, calculated response left the door wide open for interpretation. And just like that, he ended the live session. No heated rants, no diss track promises, just a few carefully chosen words that left fans guessing. But while Drake seemed unbothered on the surface, behind the scenes, things were getting even more interesting. Section 5. The industry weighs in. Is this real or just hype? As fans debated whether Kendrick really dissed Drake at the Super Bowl, the music industry had its own take on the situation. Hip-hop analysts, podcasters, and insiders quickly jumped on the topic. Some dismissed it as just another overhyped fan theory, while others believed there was real weight behind the speculation. Music critics pointed out that Kendrick has a history of making layered, subtle references. So if this was a shot, it was done intentionally, but indirectly. Rap insiders started hinting that tensions between Drake and Kendrick had been bubbling behind the scenes for a while, and this might have been Kendrick's way of addressing it. Fans were completely divided. Drake supporters laughed off the idea, saying Kendrick was too scared to call him out directly, while Kendrick's camp insisted that he had just saw Drake on the biggest stage possible. But then, a new twist emerged. A well-known industry insider claimed that Drake had privately reacted to the situation very differently than he did in public. According to this source, Drake wasn't just brushing it off. He was annoyed. He reportedly felt that Kendrick was playing into fan-driven drama rather than addressing him directly, and that his silence after the performance only made things worse. But here's where things get even more interesting. Drake wasn't the only one people were waiting on. Kendrick, as always, remained completely silent. No interviews, no cryptic social media posts, no explanations. And that was the most powerful move of all. The longer he stayed quiet, the more the debate raged on. Whether Kendrick meant to diss Drake or not, his silence kept the conversation alive. And Drake was left in a position where he either had to respond musically or let the rumors control the narrative. The tension was rising, and at this point, the question wasn't if Drake would respond, but how. Section 6. The bigger picture. The art of rap battles. Hip-hop has always thrived on competition. From classic feuds like Tupac vs. Biggie to modern clashes like Drake vs. Pusha T, rap beef has never just been about words. It's about dominance. And what just happened at the Super Bowl? It might be the beginning of something much bigger. Kendrick Lamar and Drake have always danced around a rivalry. They've taken subliminal shots, thrown indirect shade, and kept fans guessing. But neither has ever fully declared war. And that's what makes this moment so interesting. If Kendrick really dissed Drake, on the biggest stage in America with millions watching, that wasn't just a small jab, that was a power move. But here's where it gets even more strategic. Kendrick's silence. In the rap world, not responding is a response in itself. By staying quiet, Kendrick leaves the entire situation up for interpretation. Fans, critics, and even Drake himself are left guessing. Was it a diss? Was it all a misunderstanding? Or was this Kendrick's way of letting Drake sweat? Drake, on the other hand, has built his career on being calculated and strategic. He knows when to ignore a situation and when to take advantage of it. His measured response, laughing it off but leaving the door open, keeps him in control of the narrative. But that begs the real question. Where does this go from here? Will Drake fire back with a diss track? He's done it before. And if he feels like Kendrick crossed a line, he might just respond through music. Will Kendrick double down? If he was calling out Drake, could this be the start of an all-out lyrical war? Or was this just another moment in their long history of subtle competition, destined to fade into rap mythology? One thing is certain. This moment has reignited a conversation that's been bubbling for years. And whether or not it leads to direct shots, full-blown diss tracks, or just another chapter in their complicated relationship, hip-hop fans are locked in. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about two rappers. It's about the culture, the competition, and the art of rap itself. Conclusion: the unanswered question. So, did Kendrick Lamar really diss Drake at the Super Bowl? That depends on who you ask. Some fans are convinced it was a calculated shot, a moment of rap history unfolding on live television. Others think it's just another case of fans reading too much into things. But the reality? We may never get a clear answer. Drake's reaction was measured, calm, but not dismissive. He laughed it off, yet made it clear that if Kendrick had something to say, he should say it directly. But Kendrick? His silence speaks louder than any statement ever could. And that's what keeps this rivalry so compelling. If Kendrick really called out Drake, was it just a one-time move, or the beginning of something bigger? If Drake felt slighted, will he stay quiet, or respond in the way he knows best, through music? Or is this just another piece of hip-hop folklore, another chapter in a rivalry built on subliminals and strategic silence? At the end of the day, this moment has already cemented itself in rap history. Whether it leads to a full-blown feud or just another layer of mystery, one thing is clear: fans are paying attention. And as long as Kendrick and Drake remain at the top of the game, every lyric, every performance, and every move they make will be watched, dissected, and debated. Because in hip-hop, the competition never stops.